Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm your host Tim, and this is episode 5 of my Untitled Pick series. Sorry on the delay on getting this out, and sadly this episode will not feature any fancy graphics or anything like that, but it will feature predictions and breakdowns for the main and the co-main event, as well as a couple of my favorite lock picks and dog picks for the card. This is for UFC 249, that's Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. And let's go right into the main event. The losses to Alvarez and Poirier make me worried for Gaethje's chances here. He also stated in interviews that he won't be 100% going into this fight. And I think not being 100% against Tony Ferguson is just a bad idea. Ferguson is unbeaten, dating back to 2012, winning 12 fights in a row. I really think Gaethje's only chance of winning here is to get Tony out of there early. Tony does get clipped, he does get hurt. He even got knocked down by Pettis in their fight, who isn't really a power puncher. And yeah, Justin comes out there like a bat out of hell. He's got about, 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe. He might have less. As he said, he's not going to be 100%. And yeah, he really just has to get Tony Ferguson out of there. But with those losses, the similar losses to Alvarez and Poirier, and a potentially not 100% Justin Gaethje, I really feel like Ferguson is the pick here, and I'm picking Ferguson to win via a late third round, or a fourth round stoppage. Into the co-main event, we have Henry Cejudo versus Dominick Cruz. Cejudo will be defending his bantamweight belt for the first time, and Cruz is returning for the first time since his loss to Cody Garbrandt back in December of 2016. I'm a big fan of Cruz. I think what he's been able to do, coming back multiple times after long layoffs and injuries, and also winning the belt, is just a true testament to his desire and his work ethic. I really like Cruz's style. I know he talks about being able to add more patterns to vary up, the complexity even further. But seeing, Cody Garbrandt completely dismantle and break it down, was worrisome to see. I understand Cejudo possesses different skills than Cody Garbrandt, and obviously they don't have Dwayne Ludwig or TJ Dillashaw to game plan with as well. But obviously the blueprint is already there on how to defeat Cruz. It's also impossible to just know where Cruz is at coming back at this point. I know that he's talked about not believing in ring rust, but clearly it's a real thing. And even if mentally he's 100% there, it's hard to know or tell if his body's going to be there as well. So Cejudo, on the other hand, has won 5 straight and defeated Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw, and Marlon Moraes. That's just a killer's row right there, back to back to back. It's extremely hard to pick against Cejudo here. If Cruz comes back 100% and performs like he did in the past, I think he has a great shot. But man, I think this one's probably going to go to a decision as well. I could see Cejudo getting a 4th or 5th round stoppage potentially, although Cruz is very tough, very hard to put away. But I am going to pick Henry Cejudo to get the win here, probably by a 4th or 5th round stoppage, at minimum by decision. Lock of the card is going to be Francis Ngannou. I did a full fight breakdown. Link will be in the description down below. Francis has really upped his cardio lately, and he's attributed that to his work on the air bike. And he has shown no willingness to exchange since the fight he had with Derek Lewis. Rozenstruik has said in interviews that he plans to stand and trade. And I really think Rozenstruik's only chance here is to catch Ngannou on the way in with a left hook. But he's going to have to hang in there to throw that that counter left hook. And he may just end up eating or getting clipped by Francis Ngannou's right hand. And that's all that's all it takes. We've seen that from Francis Ngannou time and time again. We have no reason not to trust Ngannou's chin. Even in that tough loss against Stipe, he never really looked rocked or anything. He just, was completely exhausted. So I'm going to go with Francis by KO in round number 1 here. Honorable mention is going to be Vicente Luque. Or excuse me, I did want to mention Vicente Luque here. I also did a full fight breakdown of that. Link is also in the description. And while I do like Luque's chances, I think that Bryce has a much better shot of winning his fight. So I'm going to pick Ryan Spann here. Alvey's a bit similar to Jacare, where he's been looking old. His chin hasn't held up. I don't think he's put in a camp at all really for this. And I know there were a couple of quick stoppages for him in a row, and he was able to make it to the decision in his last fight. But even if he is able to make it to the decision here, he's going to lose to Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann probably via stoppage, but at minimum a decision win. So going on to the dogs of the card, there's only a few viable dogs on this card in my opinion. Other than Donald Cerrone, who is almost even money, the only dogs I really like on this card are Uriah Hall, Charles Rosa, and Yorgan Castro. I've also covered Hall in another full fight breakdown video, his fight with Jacare Souza, and I'll cover the other two briefly here. My dog of the card here is going to be Charles Rosa. He just came off a long layoff to defeat Manny Benavidez via armbar in a fight that he was otherwise losing. We didn't get to see a ton of Rosa in that fight, so it's hard to judge exactly where he's at this point. Both of these guys kind of remind me of each other. I think Mitchell has a bit more power, but he mostly has relied on submission wins or decisions to get, I think Rosa has the better cardio. We saw Mitchell slow down in the third round against the Tyler Diamond fight, and I didn't really think that he deserved the split victory in that, but it definitely was a close fight. Both guys are very tough and relentless. Even in his stoppage loss against Burgos, Rosa was still on his feet. If this fight starts dragging into the later rounds, I think Rosa definitely has a better shot. If Bryce wins the first and the second is close, then he may be able to pull out the decision. But Rosa is the more active fighter on the feet generally, and I think that he could outwork Mitchell here. This one is a close 50-50 to me. I'm going to pick Rosa. I think Rosa is more skilled on the ground. He is a black belt, I know, and he has a chance to pull off a submission, particularly if they go to the ground. But I think this one goes to decision, and I think that Rosa gets the split. So on to Greg Hardy versus De Castro. In my opinion, a lot of people pick against Greg Hardy, and I feel like that's only because they just don't like Greg Hardy, and that's fine. People want to see him lose, similar to Colby Covington. But personally, I think De Castro's looked pretty good. He relies a lot on that 2-3 combination, just like far too often. He just loves to lead with that 2 coming forward and follows it up with that 3. Almost every time he's thrown a combination, it was that. Tafa was able to counter him in between throwing the 2 and the 3 early in round 1 of their fight. So that's something he'll have to look out for against Hardy. I think Hardy is a bit faster, a bit lighter on the feet, but timing does beat speed, and I'm not completely sold on Hardy's power. I think a lot of the finishes that Hardy got were mental. The guys that fought him without fear and stood up to him didn't get knocked out. Volkov was fine, Ben Sassoli was fine, Alan Crowder was more or less fine before the knee, And Adams may just have a chin problem, but he also got caught in just a terrible position. And you could tell that Dmitry Smolyakov was scared before the fight even began. Like, looking at him standing there before the fight started, he just looked scared out of his wits. And even if you have the power to knock someone out, you don't necessarily start knocking people out until you get the timing for those big shots down. And I just don't think Hardy is really there yet. De Castro, on the other hand, perfectly timed that counter against Tafa, and he chopped Alton Meeks down with huge leg kicks, just vicious leg kicks. Hardy has definitely fought the better competition at this point, particularly with the Volkov fight, but I think that De Castro is going to pull this out. De Castro is a bit undersized and has talked about moving down to light heavyweight. He's also fought as low as 185. I actually see this going to decision here, and while I think it will be close, I think the leg kicks from De Castro will make the difference. So I'm going to pick De Castro via decision here. So yeah, like I said, guys, I'm sorry I got this out a little late. Check out the full fight breakdown videos in the description down below. This is episode 5. I will be doing a part B, I guess episode 5B, a recap after the event this Saturday. Man, I'm so excited for UFC to be back. I've really been looking forward to this. It's been far too long. So yeah, check back in with me, guys, for the recap video. I hope that you all do well with your bets. Leave any comments or questions down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's make some money this weekend, boys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.